Hello, here we are. I'm Matt Kolsky, and I am sitting here with Justin Standley. And the reason is we're going to talk about something Justin's been working on called The Town.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And before we actually get into what's going on here, because that's going to be all you, I want to dive into where I come at it from, which is, you know, I knew you as a person whose commentary I'd seen on Twitter.
Right.
That's about it. I had seen some of your interview pieces. I don't think I'd ever watched a full interview before.
Right.
But right around the time that I found myself without a job and was sort of looking around for things to do specifically in Oakland. I live in Oakland. It's my chosen home, and I love this city. And I, without anything to do, was looking for ways to sort of contribute to the city of Oakland. And right at that time, you announced this venture that you were doing, The Town. So obviously I reached out, and after a few, I had to cancel because of this, and you got busy because of that. We finally sat down and got to doing this. And for me, this is an excellent opportunity to do something I actually know how to do, which is talk into a microphone and have a conversation with someone and be helpful in that way. So let's get right into it. The Town. This is fundamentally a charitable venture. The idea is help out Oakland.
Exactly.
Let's dive into what exactly that means to you. Where did this start? What was the seed of this idea?
So my initial plan, first of all, that was a great introduction.
Oh, thanks.
My initial goal, so when I started my podcast, I remember struggling around 2015, 2014, trying to find somewhere or just a resource to where to start. So I was living in LA at the time, and like I said, I would call recording studios, and they didn't even really know what podcasting was at the time.
Boy, a lot's changed.
Right, exactly, right. Such a growing industry. So I remember just thinking to myself, like, man, one day when I get it together and I figure this out, I want to have a one-stop shop studio for all creatives, right? And I was like, I want to have a place to where if you need merch pressed up, you can come up there and just do it. If you need if you do music, you can record there. If you do podcasts, you can record there. We'll have a photo shoot studio. We'll have little rooms for if you do makeup or just anything, just somewhere for everybody to go. And at the same time, I wanted to offer consulting as far as how to structure your business, how to do all these things to help, people like myself in Oakland. So that's how it initially, that my initial dream was. So then when I was speaking to my business mentor just about, different ways we could help Oakland, and I just figured like I can do that, but in a resource form for Oakland. So I was like, I can create a one-stop shop for all resources related to Oakland. You see what I'm saying? So initially it started off as I wanted to be the ultimate resource for the city of Oakland as just like an entrepreneur, a businessman, just, a mental health advocate, all these things that are just important to me, all of my passions, and just share that information.
So when you say resource center, specifically, what is the role that you see the town playing? So if I'm a high school student, what kind of stuff do you want me coming to you for?
So the town will be, just a little bit of backstory, the town will be divided into different tabs.
Okay.
The different tabs will house, obviously, specific resources. So on each ab, it'll go into more depth. So we'll have a community tab, which will have everything all community building related. So whether there's toy drives, whether there's clothes giveaways or food drives, anything, you can just find it here. We'll have, for your question specifically, we'll have a education tab, and we'll have a sports tab. Now, how that benefits the kids is, and the entertainment tab as well. On the education tab, we'll have scholarship resources for college. We'll have, tutoring available for parents who are just struggling for all ages. Just everything education related that kids can benefit from. On the sports side, I want to have a place to where we can incentivize the kids again to get back into youth sports. I think when my generation was growing up, I'm 31 years old, born and raised in Oakland. When we were growing up, we all played football together, basketball, and to this day, we're all like a fraternity. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like a real brotherhood. And even though we might not talk every day or whatever, but we all support each other. We're all really, really close. And I know the generations before me are the same way because I know a lot of those guys. And it just doesn't seem that way anymore. As a basketball coach, I'm kind of really hands-on with that. Yeah. And the feel is different. So I feel if we have a way to where we can do write-ups on these kids, and we can have a place where, maybe if you want to find the Oakland Rebels Rebels or the Oakland Soldiers or Team Lillard or all of these different teams that are in Oakland, you can see their schedule on one website. Or if you're following the Oakland Dynamites or the East Bay Warriors for youth football or any of the other football programs, you can find when their tryouts are, who they play, how they're doing, and then we'll have like athlete of the week and just little things to incentivize the kids. And let's say if you wanted to sign your kids up for like gymnastics or something, which something is not popular in Oakland,
right,
we'll have information on where you can find those things close.
Right. And centralizing all that stuff. So
and the town is going to be, like you said, it's going to be the centralized location for just as many resources as we can to house there. And then that way it's just every day you can wake up and look up something on the town. You know what I mean?
So it sounds to me like in a dream world, right? When this really gets going, this is something you're hoping every high school kid in Oakland is waking up and just checking it in the morning.
Not only that, we want to create a template to where we can take this and take it to other inner cities around the United States. And the reason I say that is because I feel like I'm somebody who I was blessed with an opportunity, right? And this opportunity is meeting my business mentor, creating and growing this relationship between he and I, and having him really trusting me and my vision. And I wouldn't be able to do a lot of these things if it wasn't for him, right? And I just want to show people how I know there's more people like me out there in Oakland and in other inner cities across the country.
And there's more people like him probably too,
exactly.
Right? So part of the goal here is to make those connections between kids and the potential mentors that could help them have similar opportunities.
1,000%. And you want to know what was another thing that kind of like jump started this was I used to jog the lake every morning. Right before I hurt my foot, I would wake up every morning and jog the lake. And it was just interesting to me how, because I live close to here as well. I live right up the hill. So it was interesting to me how...
You did the whole 3-mile loop every morning?
I would leave from my house and run all the way around and come back on the other side. So I would go up Lakeshore and then come back up Grand.
Yeah, I remember being young enough to do that.
No, I ended up with plantar fasciitis, so that tells you maybe I was going.
Wait till you're 41, my man.
Man, side note, I had started a challenge at the time. I was doing the SJ10 mile challenge. So I started a Nike Run Club community, and everybody would either run, jog, bike, or whatever, 45 miles a month.
Wow.
So it was something I was doing, and it was like I was able to knock it out the park because I was doing like 4 or 5 miles a day.
Right. Yeah.
Because I worked up to that, obviously. But anyway, so I would be jogging the lake, and it was just always interesting to me how we have those really nice luxury apartments over there, and I see all of these people who are most likely to live around here somewhere, and we're all jogging the lake and getting ready. I was doing it before work, so we're getting ready for work and all these things, and then you have one of the biggest homeless encampments right here.
Yep.
And I'm just thinking, like, these are crazy how these two worlds are coexisting, and it's like we get mad at them for being filthy and dirty. They're mad at us for or not just us, but they're mad at they for gentrifying or whatever the case may be. But in order for us to coexist and live together, like, we have to work together at some point.
That's one of the things I think, like, most people who live in diverse communities, whether it's Oakland or other inner cities, and especially, California, obviously, for weather reasons. I went home to Chicago in the summer, and there are encampments all over Chicago too.
Wow.
This is a problem in every major city now. And I think, being around those sorts of wealth gaps that are right in front of your face like that, it makes you want to do something if you're a good person.
Exactly.
So that makes a ton of sense to me. Let's track back just a little bit about the life of Justin Standley. Born and raised in Oakland, you said.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about your story. And I know you were an athlete. I know you went off to college to play basketball, right?
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about it.
So yeah, like you said, born and raised in Oakland. I actually went to high school, and this is actually a great segue into kind of how I became the person I am, if you will. So I graduated from Bret Harte Middle School, which is right off Coolidge, and then immediately went to Pleasanton High School, right out of high school. So I go to Pleasanton, culture shock.
Yeah.
Right. There's like probably 30 black people in the whole school.
Yeah.
I'm coming off I end up tearing my ACL, so now I can't even play basketball. Right. So I'm at this school. I'm dealing with it's just so different. I'm like living with my dad at the time, who had just came home from prison. I was never really a bad kid. I was always like, school was always easy for me. I always felt like I didn't fit in really. And I would kind of have to adapt and, code switch in a way, even early on, to kind of survive. It was like a survival mechanism. So anyway, I'm out there and I'm just like seeing these kids coming to school. I'm coming to school in like rest in peace hoodies with like my friends that have died on my shirt and just all these things. And they're questioning me like, why are you, what's the point of this? And why are you doing that? And at that time, that was all I knew. Yeah. Right. So, I ended up playing basketball my junior year out there. 'Cause I went there my freshman, sophomore, and junior year. So I ended up playing basketball finally my junior year. And obviously I was good. So like now I'm like really popular. Everything is, I went from, cause I'm naturally introverted. So I'm like to myself, I don't want to hang around all the other black kids. I don't really go to the BSU meetings and all of those things. I'm just to myself, I eat lunch by myself or whatever. So I ended up playing basketball that year. And then, I come back from ACL injury. Everything is going well. And then at the same time, I'm also playing AAU basketball and for high intensity. So
in Oakland,
yeah. Well, so with my coach Scott Alexander, what he did was they took 6 kids from Oakland and 6 kids from San Jose. Okay. And mixed us together, and we were one of the best teams in the country. Nice. And we were playing against everybody. We had a full sponsorship, so everything was paid for. We were traveling we were eating at restaurants where we couldn't even pronounce what was on the menu. And it's funny now because Coach Scott is actually he's my older cousin. He's my mentor, but he's also like my best friend. Like we talk all the time. He's like, I got so much respect for that dude. But anyway, we laugh about it now because it's like for them to be young adults and they're watching these young black men from Oakland experience these kids, and we're pretty much with 6 white kids as well, right? And we're just beating the hell out of everybody we're playing against. But with that, I brought all that up to say is like it was showing I was seeing so much different than just Oakland, and that just made me intrigued, and I was just like, wait. This isn't normal what I'm dealing with. I shouldn't be going to parties that are getting shot up and then going to the next party the next day and that's getting shot. And I know it's going to get shot up. You know what I mean? And just dealing with things like that. So, and then I go off to college and now I'm meeting people from different countries, Serbia and Panama and Mexico. And it's just like, I'm coming from I'm this hard-nosed Oakland kid that just has this super chip on my shoulder. And I have to kind of be that way because of survival. You know what I mean? You won't make it. Yeah. And then I get to experience all these things, and I just made a decision like, I don't want my life to be like that. Like something has to change. You know what I mean? And I ended up here, man. I have 2 kids now, and it's such a blessing, man. And it seems like that's the experience. Having the ability to sort of broaden your worldview is the experience you want to bring to Oakland kids who might not have that opportunity. And exactly. And then on top of that, it's relationships are so important. You're telling me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like resources are very important as well, but relationships are just the key to making a change. It's the key to almost everything in life you learn as you get older, right? Almost every job I've gotten as an adult is because I made friends with the right person at the right time. Really, honestly, if I'm honest, it's mostly just Rod Brooks and Bob Fitzgerald. Almost everything I have in my career. That's dope, though. It's because I was nice to Rod and Bob, and they liked me. That's dope, though. Yeah, no, I mean, that's what it is. Really, that's what it is. And I'm exaggerating with Rod and Bob, but like, right now, I was just telling you before, I just started doing some fill-in work at KNBR, and the only reason I have that is because of a relationship. That's dope. Right? I mean, these are the things that it's not always right that everything is based on relationships, and it leads to a lot of people not having opportunities who ought to have opportunities. But there are some good things about it, because if you get the right people in positions to help, right? And it sounds like, for instance, your business mentor is a person like that, right? If you get the right people who have the power to help, they're able to use their personal skills to decide, like, is this someone who deserves the opportunity? And I think, again, if I'm understanding it, that's part of the point of the town, right? 100%. Is you're going to gather the right people to be mentors 100%. And sort of put them in a place where they can be found more easily. 1,000%. And I want to make it to where there's just a network of just relationships and collaboration, and just, if you need a painter, you can find that on the town. You know what I mean? If you need anything, you can find that on the town, or if you can't find it directly, we'll figure out a way to help everybody out. And to take it back to what you said about my business mentor, on top of just showing how important relationships are, what you made a key point to me is just, you were nice to people. and the way you treated people, it helped elevate you. And a quick story, my mentor, I've heard, he told me this story, and I don't remember this, but I've heard him tell a bunch of people. I've introduced him to this story as well. He tells a story about when I was in the 5th grade, because when I was in the 5th grade, I used to play against his son. And my dad was in prison. Coach Scott was coaching the San Jose Scholars. And again, Coach Scott is my older cousin. We didn't know at the time. So we're playing against each other, and our teams are battling out, because this is when like youth basketball is like popping. Like you got Dame Lillard he's only a year older than me, so he's around this time, and we're selling out these high school gyms. Like our parents are into it. Like this is like a real culture at that time, right?
Bigger than the high school.
Yeah.
Basketball.
Oh, it was. Well, no, I can't say that because that was big too. But it was just as big. It was like a real thing.
Yeah.
And so these games used to be crazy, and Coach Scott would bring his white kids from San Jose, and they would come battle with us in the hood, and they were good, hella good. Yeah. So. He tells this story about when I was in the 5th grade when we played against his team, his son's team, and he says they were in the middle of a huddle, and I walked into the huddle and I introduced myself to his son and told him how good he was and how much I was I messed with his game pretty much. And then he says, as I walked through the gym, he just saw how everybody just like gravitated towards me. Now I don't remember this, but obviously he does, and I've heard him tell the story. And then in high school, he was on every trip with us because me, his son, and I played together. So this guy watched me grow up. He's been around me for a long, and I played on the same AU team from 8th grade to I graduated.
Right. So he knows your character. He knows how you treat people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say, if I was an asshole at any point throughout that, who knows how he would view me, and he wouldn't even take. Not only is he helping me with just giving me structure and everything business, this guy's helping me as a man. You know what I mean? He's giving me little small jewels. Like I called him when I wanted to get my first studio, and he's like, "Don't worry about the actual price of the rent. More so focus on the terms of the lease and the lent." Like those little small gems that to him, he's not even realizing how impactful that is to me. Yeah. To me, I'm thinking he just said the greatest quote I've ever heard. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But just knowing like there's people out there that care like that and that believe in you and that are willing to give you an opportunity, it's only right that I pay it forward. And that was his main thing when he wanted to help me with the town was, I just like how you always talk about bringing people with you. You always talk about helping everybody around you. You're always talking about uplifting the city of Oakland. You know what I mean? And I'm not doing that on purpose. That's just who I am. Yeah. And that's why we connect. And that's kind of what I want the town to do, is find all of those like-minded people, because we all can do great individually all over the place. You know, there's so many nonprofits and resources out here that we all can benefit from. But when we work together, you know, like that's just spreading that's just widening the network.
And I think, you know, so often nonprofits, especially in inner cities, they're short on resources. Yep. So I think any organization that tries to sort of bridge those gaps, and there might be 2 different nonprofits in Oakland right now operating in a way that could really help each other, and they just have no way to connect because they don't have the resources. They don't know, maybe they don't know about each other.
And on top of that, growing up in Oakland, most of us have this crab in the barrel mentality to where it's like, no, I want to be the guy, or I know I don't want to work with them, or for whatever reason. Yeah, it's very collaborative. And it's because we had to be that way to make it out here. You know what I mean? Because
you know, you get the idea that a limited number of people are going to make it out. So if it's him, then it might not be me.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's get back to the actual project of the town. Where are we at right now? What steps have you already taken, and what is underway?
So I've been working on this since January of 2022. It's been a long
getting on a year.
Yeah. Just locked down the venue for the launch event.
Excellent.
We just locked down the date for the launch event, which is going to be February 4th. As of now, that's still subject to change, because you know how those things go.
All right.
We have the website built, which is great. Right now, our main focus is developing all of the tabs, and as well as creating content for the site. So
do you know do you have the full list of tabs that you want to have? What are they?
We have a community tab, entertainment tab, a sports tab, education tab, a health tab, and a job board. So Absolutely. The entertainment tab, like I mentioned, we'll have just, you know, restaurants. We'll have things to do with families, things to do with kids. We'll have, you know, lounges and bars, just all things entertainment wise that you can do in Oakland. Well, so then the sports tab, like I mentioned, will have like calendars and schedules for all of the sports. We're looking into doing like athlete of the month starting off for each thing, and scholar of the month, things like that. Again, we want to incentivize the kids to work hard. We'll have information on signing up, tryouts, all those things for sports. Education tab will have education resources, obviously, whether they're behavioral or just, it's tutoring, all kind of things, programs that are available, scholarship opportunities. There's a teacher from my old high school, McClymonds, Dr. Taylor, and I remember just applying for colleges at the time, and this lady was just like a magician when finding scholarship opportunities. Like, she pulls them like KFC scholarship if you're under 6 feet, like like just random shit. And it's like, so I already spoke to her. She's gonna help out a lot with the town, which is dope.
That's great.
So I want information like that to be available to everybody.
Right.
And then we'll have the job board, which I'm really, really excited about. So I'm going to partner with my mentor and a lot of his connections, and we're going to find a lot of entry level positions that maybe offer more sustainable salaries for people to live. And, people in Oakland might not apply for these type of positions because we'll think you need some type of prerequisite or a degree or something. But, he has companies that he's on the boards of that offer entry level positions at a pretty decent salary. And we want to have that information on the town.
Yeah.
I want to eventually get it to where entrepreneurs, if you're, a contractor or whatever, we can have it to where you can list your work on there and people can find you on there. We'll have a health tab where again, my mentor, he's like really into like science and health. So we're going to have it to where we'll have information on, when you should go get screenings and where you can go get screenings when you get to certain ages, because he can, and I don't want to quote this wrong, but with the African American community, there's like a disconnect when it comes to like the healthcare system. Yeah. And we're trying to do better at just putting information out there and showing where clinics are. And obviously I'm a very big mental health advocate. And that's one of my main focuses. I want everybody to take mental health very serious. I want people to know where to turn, because I didn't before I got into therapy.
And it's something that's stigmatized in not just the Black community,
right?
A lot of communities.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
And then another thing that I think is dope that we're going to do, and this is kind of where my focus will be, because eventually I want to have it to where I have directors for each tab, people who are very passionate about those things. Like I said earlier, this is going to be a collaborative effort. So I'm going to need everybody to kind of work with me, work together. I'm going to work with them. Yeah. We all got to just put all of our resources and relationships in one pot, and we pick from it as we need them. But we're going to do another thing on the town called Chapters, the Chapter Series. And what I'm going to do with that is I want to take the opportunity to tell intriguing, inspiring, interesting stories of just people all across Oakland. It could be a neighborhood mechanic. It could be the owner of a bar, restaurant. Let's say if there's a restaurant outside of here and there's some type of negative press that comes to it, whether it's a robbery or something, we would take that opportunity, go in, get to know the owner, have them either come down here, or we would take our cameras down to their establishment, interview them, get to know their backstory, kind of, what got them to this point, and then remind the community that you guys aren't hurting big corporations when you come and do these things in front of these establishments. You're hurting our community directly. These people are just like you. They either come from here, they live here, they get business here, whatever, but they're part of our community. You know what I mean?
I think that's great. I mean, this is something that I know I find myself talking about a lot, that so much of strife, so many of the problems between various communities, or even just people on a personal level, it's an issue of lack of understanding and lack of exposure, right? I mean, to use an easy example, when you find people that are anti-LGBTQ plus, it's probably because they haven't been exposed to LGBTQ plus people in their life, right? So telling the stories of the people in the community is going to help the community embrace those people every time.
No, that's a fact, man. And that's kind of what, what my main thing was. I remember, I'll never forget my dorm brother. This was years ago. I'll forget which time one of the cops killed somebody, a black person. I don't remember which time it was. It's hard to keep up. But so my dorm brother, he's a white kid. He's born and raised in Nebraska, Scottsbluff, Nebraska, which is on the western side of Nebraska. And as you can guess, there's not very many black people. I
can guess.
I know him because I went to the National Junior College out there after I left New Mexico State. And his family kind of took me in. Great family. Like, they would give me birthday parties. Like, they were amazing. Like, obviously I still talk to them to this day. We were very, very, very close. But one day he called me and he was with legit, genuine confusion as to why there was this uproar about this killing. And he just didn't understand it. The cop is only doing his job. And I tell him this all the time, is he opened my eyes to understand exactly what you just said. They just don't understand.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't want to. It's not that they don't care. They just don't get it.
I mean, there are people who are bad people.
Exactly.
But there's also lots of people who, when you are not exposed to other cultures, other races, other lifestyles, whatever you want to call it,
100%.
Lack of understanding usually leads to fear and confusion. And then that's where, hate can sort of grow.
Exactly.
And the more we expose people to different kinds of people, the less we have all that. So, to me, that's a great part of the mission for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the launch, and when you launch for now, February 4th, what are the things you are sort of immediately looking to deliver? Like, what are the top priorities for the beginning after you launch?
Since we finally locked the date down, our main focus right now is like promotion. Promotion as far as meeting helpers or partners is what we call them, to where people who want to contribute to the town, whether you're writing an article, because there will be written content as well as video content. So we also want to focus on, I'm glad you brought this up, Marcus Thompson is somebody I've spoken to. He's such a great help. He came on my podcast before.
I just had him on the radio show I did on KNBR on Black Friday. Yeah, really? Just talked to Marcus.
That's dope.
He is excellent.
Yeah, he's a great guy, man.
And a tremendous writer.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's kind of found me on Twitter as well. He followed me. I followed him back. I think my Hook Mitchell clip went viral or something, and then I reached out to him like, hey, would you come on my podcast? And he was like, for sure. He came to my old studio, did the podcast. It was amazing. We got to re-promote that now that I got more subscribers.
Nice.
That was
Go back and listen.
Yes.
MT2. It's a great conversation.
Yes. I want to introduce more people to writing in the Bay Area. Just hearing Oakland, more specifically, hearing Marcus's story and how he started. He just kind of stumbled into it. I kind of stumbled into journalism. And I just know there's more people like us out there who don't know exactly what it is. They just like to write, or they like to interview, or they like to just do these things, research, they just a bunch of different things. And we want to create a lane. So we want the town to be able to, if you don't have to be a journalist, you don't have to be somebody specific. If your mission and your article aligns with the town's mission and what we want to do and what we thrive to do, anybody can post content.
We can be an outlet.
Anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's, music that you want, whatever it is that you want to highlight or talk about, and of course we're going to do some work too as far as finding, significant stories, but we really want to focus on storytelling.
Right.
Storytelling, truth seeking, and just the genuine community aspect of Oakland. There's, like you said, it's so diverse. There's so many different type of cultures out here, and we want to be inclusive of everybody. This isn't just for Black people. You know what I mean? This is for the city of Oakland. All Oaklanders of all kinds, from young to older. You know what I mean? We just want to be a resource, and we want people to ask questions. We want you to push us. You know what I mean? If we don't offer something, bring it to our attention, and we're gonna go do the research to try to offer that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
If we don't house it on our website, and that's just what we want to do. And like I said, I want this to just continue to grow and grow. I kind of got off track, but when it comes to the launch event, I want to have as much as that ready as possible. I'm really hoping that we can launch with all tabs available. I won't promise that because of obviously we have to, get those things built out, and first impression is everything. I'm going to, obviously with you and I, we kind of had to cancel a few times. And you see, I'm always like, bro, it's not a big deal. I don't like to rush stuff. Like patience is better.
Good than fast.
Exactly. And I'm a firm believer of that. So if I have to roll it out one tab at a time, we're going to do that. You know what I mean? We'll have a contact us page on the website as well, to where people can offer feedback. They can, send us stories and tell us to, just anything. We're doing actually a documentary under the town on the Oakland Dynamites right now.
Oh, cool.
They're actually in Florida at the moment as we speak. battling for a national championship.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
They're 6U team, so I think they're 6U team, so little 6-year-olds. And I want to say they're 9U team. So I went and got some drone footage of their practices. I've been to a couple games. I mic'd up the coach during the game. I got some pretty dope footage. So I'm trying to get some big interviews done as well to kind of add to the little documentary. And I want to premiere that at the launch event.
Oh, excellent.
Premiere the trailer, because we don't want to watch the full thing, but I'll show the trailer and kind of, again, I want to remind everybody, like I said, about the business owners and the restaurants and the lounges and the bars we go to, or, just everything. Because I don't want to be oblivious to the fact that Oakland is a dangerous city.
Sure.
With as far as its reputation and the things that go out here, I've lost a lot of friends to, death, jail, drugs, whatever you want, whatever you name it, family members, everything. But with that being said, there are people who want more. I was one of them my whole life. I know everybody a lot of people that I'm working with, my board members, everybody. And another dope thing about the town is everybody so far has been either connected to or from Oakland. The logo that I'm wearing on my hoodie is she's from Oakland. Her name is Dayana. The girl who did the website, I should say the woman who did the website, her name is Donna. She's from Oakland, I believe. The board members are from Oakland or connected to. It's just I want this to be for Oakland, by Oakland.
I think the closer the members of the sort of inner circle are to the city,
right,
the more you'll be able to sort of reach into the city and pull up stories and communities that maybe haven't been represented enough in the past. All right. I feel like we did a nice summary. Is there anything I missed?
No, man, that was amazing. You're really good at this. You're really good. I appreciate
the only thing I'm good at, so I'm glad.
Before we go though, I got to get into my interview back a little bit. What brought you to Oakland? First of all, before you go, I'm sorry. I wanted to say thank you. And I think I've told you this already, but like you said, I put that tweet out. That was the first time I had publicly spoken about the town. You were one of the people who reached out to me. We immediately connected. I think we exchanged numbers, got on the phone. You were like, man, however I can help, you know what I mean? I have the time right now. So I just want to say thank you for that, because that's exactly what it's going to take for this thing to work. You know what I mean?
It's my pleasure. And, if I'm totally honest, like I feel like I could do more. So, I'm truly happy to help. It's something I'm passionate about, and it's something that, for my family, the give back part has always been like, that's just how I was raised.
That's dope. Shout out to your parents for that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I have great parents. I'm very lucky. What brought me to California in general is really just the weather. I grew up in Chicagoland, Evanston, Illinois, first suburb to the north. I love Chicago. I try to rep Chicago still, even though I haven't lived there in 15 years. When it came time to go to college, I got into schools on the East and West Coast, and I chose weather. Pomona College in Southern California, it was the weather that did it. Tiny liberal arts school, no sports to speak of. And honestly, I don't love LA. So I wanted to stay in California, and I visited the Bay a few times because I had friends from school who lived up here, and just fell in love with the whole area. And then once I actually got to living here, I think when I first moved, I have an aunt in Berkeley that I stayed with for a minute. Then I lived with some friends in the city back when you could afford to do that. Dude, this is crazy. So this was like 2004-05, right? Me and a buddy from college and this random girl we found on Craigslist had a 3-bedroom apartment in the Mission with a gigantic living room and a backyard for $1,800 a month. So times have changed.
Right.
Lived in the city for a minute, but honestly, like I said, Evanston, where I grew up, is just a super diverse community. And like, I hope this doesn't sound too weird, but I miss black people.
That's dope.
And I love Oakland.
That's dope.
Oakland reminds me a lot of where I grew up, man. It's again, economically, demographically diverse. You can find every different kind of food, whether you want a $5 burger or a $250 like prefix menu, like, and it has that. I don't know. Some cities feel like home, and other cities feel like the big city to me. Like San Francisco is cool. I like San Francisco. It feels like the big city with the tall buildings and everything. And Oakland feels like a place where real people live. So, you know, very long story short, 15 years later, when my girlfriend at the time was moving out, and then we got pregnant and married, I won't say in what order, we decided, where do we want to live? And Oakland was the place where we both wanted to be. I think it reminds us both. She also grew up in Evanston.
Oh, wow.
So I think it reminded us both a lot of home.
That's dope.
And yeah, I mean, I love it. But yeah, I don't ever want to move. I love the city of Oakland. And that to me is a huge part of why when I saw you talking about the town, I immediately reached out like, hey, you know, what can I do to help? Because I'd love to be involved in this community more, you know? And I also feel like if I'm going to say I love this place, there's a responsibility to that, right? I mean, I can't say that and then not pay attention to what's going on around me in the city. And, you know, you're talking about seeing homeless encampments and stuff. And for me, like, we bought a house in Oakland, which, to be perfectly frank, we could only afford because my parents helped with the down payment. But we bought a house in Oakland, and we've been there a few years now. Around the corner, we're right by Mosswood Park. So there have been encampments there most of the time. We've lived there. And, you know, Kaiser sometimes pays people to clear people out, which, like, I feel very conflicted about. But around the corner from the homeless encampment, you know, you look on Zillow and there's a 1-bedroom house selling for $1 million.
That's incredible, man.
So to me, that's just not totally acceptable. And I don't know, really, I'm not, I don't know enough to solve that problem, but I know I'd like to help. And so for me, yeah, I can donate money when I have it, but I feel like when there's an opportunity like this, where actually the skills I have could be helpful to someone, whether that's mentoring someone who wants to get into the radio business or podcasting or what have you, or just doing this, and, you know, helping you get the message out a little bit. Like, there are not a lot of times I can use my talking skills to actually be helpful to people. So I jump at that opportunity. That's for dope, sure. Man, we appreciate but yeah, as far as why Oakland, it's just because it has felt like home to me since I came to the Bay Area. Amazing. Truly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate you, bro. Honestly.
My pleasure.
I'm glad you reached out, because I feel like whenever I meet people like that, in those like organic kind of ways, it's always going to be like a long-term relationship. You know what I mean?
I hope so. I hope so.
And again, if there's anything I can help you with, obviously, you know, let me know. I'm always around, man. So I appreciate you, brother. This was dope, man.
Excellent, dude.